Every investor makes this devastating mistake at some point, usually early in their investing lives. Not only can it be difficult to recover from, for most, it results in a scarring conclusion to their adventure into the otherwise potentially lucrative world of investing. This huge mistake and how to avoid it, coming up. I am so glad you're here. I really do enjoy our time together. By watching this channel, you'll be gradually building your rapidly growing, highly diversified net worth, one video at a time. On January 1st, 2016, I went off on my own. I was officially investing full time. Before that point, when there was no pressure, when stock research was just something I would do in my spare time, I'd been successful at identifying high quality, undervalued stocks in which to invest. But once that was my full-time gig, I felt like I needed to do more. Like I needed to identify more opportunities than the 4 or 5 stocks I was finding each month. So I sought help from others. I paid for several monthly stock selection subscriptions. I constantly had CNBC playing in the background. I started listening to others to find and implement investment ideas. Sometimes these ideas played out as expected. Sometimes, of course, they didn't. And then there was that one time. And this is what set me straight. One time, the trade went horribly wrong. My position was crashing. I was bleeding money. I didn't know what to do. I was actually able to find a clip, a recording of someone whom I can only assume is going through a similar situation. It at least does a good job at capturing that consuming panic that you might feel. As you watch this clip, consider if you've ever found yourself in a similar position, tackling similar emotions. Let me know in the comments. Here's that recording.
What's happening?
It's hard to watch, isn't it? It's even harder to live through. Well, you don't have to. So what happened? What was the difference between my pre and post 2016 success and that brief stint where I experienced several overwhelmingly stressful trades? I stopped relying on myself and on my own research and conclusions. I stopped playing out every possible scenario in my head before entering a trade. I started relying on others.
I just want to check on that investment I made on Friday.
Yeah, zero balance as of this morning. I don't know what that hot tip was, but you'd have been better off putting that money in a coffee can.
Hi, Walter. This is Kenneth Parcell, NBC Page Program. What's the status of my investment?
And that was my crucial mistake. I've since repented and recovered, but this is a lesson that almost every investor learns the hard way at some point. It is dangerous to rely exclusively on others' investment ideas. Why does this happen? How do investors find themselves in positions they don't fully understand and an emotional wreck when those bets don't play out exactly as expected? It starts with the fact that we're surrounded by so many experts, professionals or not, who are more than happy to share with you the next hot thing. They want you invested in there too, maybe because they like you or maybe because they get some sort of validation out of it. Whatever their motivation, think about all the influences you have in your life trying to give you those recommendations. You have the screaming heads on TV.
This is it. I'm going over the top right here. I am buying the market right here, right now, because I know more than anybody.
The well-spoken, experienced, or professional trader.
You mean to tell me that if I put you in at Union Carbide at a 7 and took you out at 32?
Texas Instruments at 11 and took you out at 47?
U.S. Steel at 16, took you out at 41?
You wouldn't be saying to me right now, Chester, pick me up a few thousand shares at Disney on the spot right now. Come on.
I mean, honestly, Kevin, honestly.
And the wise, successful friend or associate.
Here's the pitch. Wind power, bandwidth, Chinese market.
Oh, God.
Just think, this time next year you'll be so rich you can run for political office without having to pretend to be a fundamentalist.
It's okay to have someone you trust give you ideas, but it is dangerous to invest in those ideas without any further consideration or access to information. It is a viable strategy to hear them out and then, and this is the essential part, do your own research to supplement their investment thesis and come to your own educated conclusion. I get it. There are countless investment opportunities in the world. And if it's not what you do professionally and it's not your passion, that can be an impossible mountain to sift through. But the ideas you hear from others need to be the start of your investment process, not the end. Alternatively, if you have full access to when and why that person you trust makes each and every trade, so you know when they're entering, exiting, increasing, or decreasing their own positions, that too could be a viable strategy for you. I'm reminded of a young professional investor who, while stranded in an airport, had a brief chance encounter with his lifelong investment role model. They began discussing their current theses on different markets. One in particular stood out to this novice investor. It was a trade made by the veteran that was the exact opposite of his own. Before he could ask for more information, the seasoned trader was boarding his flight. And this weighed heavily on the young pro. He didn't like betting against his investment hero. He decided that he, the young one, must have missed something. So he reluctantly flipped his position. He trusted the veteran's opinion. The next day, he suffered a significant loss in that position before pulling out. Turns out the young professional had been right. It's too bad he doubted his own research. It appeared as though the old pro had lost his touch. Later that week, he received a call from the veteran asking how he was doing. The young trader explained that he was a little upset after the loss and expressed concern for the veteran because he knew that the veteran's bet had been much more significant. The old professional was confused. He told him that he had made money on that position every step of the way. In the few hours after they had spoken in the airport, the market moved exactly as he had anticipated. Then his research suggested that it was about to go the other way, so unbeknownst to the young investor, he profitably switched his thesis and consequently his position. The young professional was trading on an entirely different time horizon than the veteran. He didn't have access to all the information, and his portfolio suffered for it. One of my best friends is this way. He knows my track record, and he constantly wants to know the specific stocks that I've identified as having 100% or more potential return. I've always been hesitant to share, not because I don't want him to profit from them, but rather because he doesn't know exactly when my research might indicate that I make a change to that position, and I don't want to forget to tell him, because it could be a couple years from now, but it could be hours from now. That's why I cringe when I see people investing their hard-earned cash without any more than a hot, at least for now, tip to guide them. What should they do next? That's an important part of any investment decision. That's actually one of the main reasons I started my Patreon account, so that I could provide that friend and anyone else interested with real-time updates, so you know exactly when and why I make every single move. So whenever you hear the next good idea, and inevitably you'll hear one, whether it comes from me or Jim Cramer or your best friend, I don't care how amazing and urgent it sounds, do not invest while relying exclusively on someone else's tip. Do your future self a favor and either dedicate the time necessary to research and come to your own educated conclusion, or make sure you have open, ongoing access to all the information. Do you have a story like this where you or someone you know followed blindly someone else's advice and it didn't turn out so well? If so, I hope you didn't lose too much, but I'd love to hear about it because we can all learn from it. Let me know in the comments. And if this is your first time here, I hope you'll click subscribe and then that notification bell so you can join us on this journey to help you build your rapidly growing, highly diversified net worth. I want to thank you for watching. I sincerely look forward to spending more time with you in the next video. Take care.